the spring light falls into winter night.
Let's start taking a look at adding and subtracting algebraic fractions. To do that, we first need to examine what values of x would make each fraction undefined. If I have 2 over x, when is that going to be undefined? When x equals 0. How about 2 over x minus 5? When's that going to be undefined? When x equals 5. Y plus 5 over y plus 2? All I care about is this, right? A fraction is undefined if it has 0 as a denominator. Y cannot be equal to -2. How about the next one? I don't want this to equal 0. So what can x not be? Well, you could solve it algebraically and you would get that x cannot be equal to -1/2. And the last one, don't get tricked. We can't have x equal to -2 or 2 there. It's important to think about that because we're going to be working with these algebraic fractions and we need to be aware of not possible circumstance. Okay? Back to adding fractions. Now we did dividing and multiplying first because you guessed it, dividing and multiplying are a lot easier than adding and subtracting. What is the rule for adding and subtracting fractions? You gotta get a common denominator. Let's do some baby steps and then we'll get to the complex ones. To get a common denominator, whatever we do to get that common denominator, we also have to do to the numerator. Then, at the end, we have to completely simplify our answers. So in the first case, we have a common denominator. We're good to go. Somebody was really nice, so I just add my numerators and I get 5x over 4. No common factors, can't be simplified. I am done. In the second case, same thing. So I'm going to get y minus 2 over the quantity y squared minus 4. It's not completely simplified. I have to do y minus 2 over y plus 2 times y minus 2, canceling out the y minus 2's, and my final answer is 1 over y plus 2. So as you can see, it's important to be thoughtful about the process, mindful about your answer the whole time. Let's take a look at number 3. Again, it's great because I have common denominator. The one thing you need to watch out for here is this. That guy can be really tricky. You have to apply that minus here, and you have to apply that minus here. So let's write it out. I get 9d plus 6, and I'm subtracting 7d, and I'm subtracting 5, and that's all over 2d plus 1, which is going to give me 2d plus 1 over 2d plus 1. Beautiful thing. My answer is 1. You don't get that lucky all the time. Number 4. This is an addition problem and I have a common denominator. So why don't you try this one on your own and come back and check your answer. The final answer in this case is 4 over r minus 3. Hopefully you did well with that. If you didn't do well with that, you didn't factor at the end. So you need to be careful to factor when you're done also. Now, what do we do when we don't have a common denominator? Well, the common denominator, and you want to try and get the least common denominator here. I don't want to multiply 3 by 4 by 12. My least common denominator is 12. It's going to get very complicated very fast with the algebra if you don't think of the least common denominator. So I'm going to multiply numerator and denominator by 4 here, numerator and denominator by 3 here, which is going to give me 20x over 12 plus 21 over 12 plus 11x over 12. And when I add that up, I get 31x plus 21 over 12. And there's no common factors, so I'm all set. Let's try it with a little algebra. The least common denominator here, think about it on your own, it should be 15x. So that means I need to multiply this fraction by 5 over 5 and this fraction by 3 over 3. Be careful, watch negatives, and take it slowly. So I get 20x minus 5 over 15x minus 3x minus 24 over 15x. Now keeping in mind I have to distribute this negative to that entire term in the numerator. When I distribute that, it's going to be 20x minus 5 minus 3x plus 24 over 15x. And when I finally simplify that, I get 17x plus 19 over 15x. Again, no common factors, but I'm always mindful of that, checking, do I have common factors? Let's go on to number 7. Be thinking of what would be the least common denominator here. The least common denominator is going to be 12x to the third. To get that common denominator, the first fraction needs to be multiplied by 4x squared over 4x squared. The second fraction, just 3 over 3. When I do the math, I get 4x squared over 12x to the third, and I'm just going to go ahead and say plus 15. And again, no common factors, so I'm done. In number 8, least common denominator. In this case, the only thing they have in common is an a, so I'm going to need to multiply the first one by b and the second one by 7. My least common denominator being 7ab. I'm going to get 2ab plus 2b over 7ab plus 7b minus 63 over 7ab. And since that's addition, I'm just going to combine my like terms, and that's going to give me 2ab plus 9b minus 63 all over 7ab. We will continue with more of these tomorrow. I hope you have a nice evening.